Hello. Welcome back to the People and Culture Essentials videocast. I'm Jonathan. I'm the coordinator of the PCA. And once again, thank you so much for joining us live on LinkedIn and YouTube. We have two fantastic guests, of course, today to talk to us in the People and Culture Essentials videocast. The PCA, of course, is a growing, very vibrant membership of people professionals, and we're so lucky to have you on board with us. I want to say hi to our latest corporate partner member who joined us this week, Zenitech. And of course, our group of corporate members are growing day by day, and I will be sharing more information about you about that. You can see a small kicker at the bottom of your screen, and that's going to tell you more about what we're doing at the People and Culture Association. But once again, welcome to these videocasts that we have almost every weekend now. And of course, joining us on today's show is, of course, a very special guest, Nicole Godetz, who is the director at New Thinking Limited. She's a senior associate, chief training and development officer, lead facilitator, and a leadership coach at ASM Plus. Of course, prior to this, she has held the position of an executive head teacher at Cypress Primary School. You can follow her, of course, and her work on LinkedIn, and we'll get to know more about her journey as well as David jumps into and understands, the different hats that she wears, of course, in her profession. And joining us, of course, on today's call as well is the anchor of the show, David Liddle, who is the CEO and the chief consultant of the TCM Group and the president of the PCA, and who's busy, as I assume right now, working on his newly commissioned book, People and Culture. So I'm going to hand the stage straight over to them and pop back into the background. David, Nicole, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Nicole, very warm welcome to today's People and Culture Essentials videocast.
Thank you, David. It's really, really a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited.
We're all excited to have you. Been really looking forward to today's conversation. I think for the benefit of our listeners and for others within the People and Culture Association, maybe Nicole, you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey so far.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So my name is Nicole Godetz, and I am the director and co-founder of New Thinking, which is a workplace consultancy all about helping people to be at their best individually and helping workplaces work well together. So whether that's team building, whether that's helping employers to listen to their employees and act on what they're saying, not just listen, all about the workplace. So that's sort of what I'm doing at the moment. My journey this far, Jonathan said, I was an executive head teacher. I was in education for over 30 years. I tried to leave education for 11 years. 11 years I had an active plan of leaving, but there was always some reason to stay, some project, you can't leave us now. It's really hard to leave a profession that you care a lot about. But in that time as a head teacher, David, I had more and more people to look after, more and more teams to build, more and more projects to manage. And I really loved that. I loved managing projects. I loved helping people to be at their best. I liked helping teams to work together. And I realized that was sort of my passion, that the more I could help workplaces to work well together, the more influence I would have in that respect. So I finally escaped and set up my own business. I'm in the 6th year now of my own consultancy, New Thinking. And sometimes people say, oh, is it No Thinking? I'm like, where are your phonics? Ooh, New Thinking.
I love that. And whereabouts are you based, Nicole?
So I'm based in South London near Crystal Palace Football Ground. Eagles.
Okay.
Yeah. So hope that's not going to start all the chat going.
I know, yes, absolutely. Please do share your favourite football club and thoughts on Crystal Palace in the chat function on today's People and Culture Essentials.
or also share Cardiff and Leeds, because we have those in house and West Ham. So just to sort of be in honour of all represented in our house.
There you go. Fantastic. Well, it's and of course, if anyone's got any views on Nottingham Forest, of course, please do.
The internet's just breaking up there.
It really is great. So it's not No Thinking. It's New Thinking. Six years, I think you set the organisation. Can you tell us a little bit of the kind of thinking behind the initiative? And what do you like most about the work that you do, Nicole? What really kind of gets you out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, I mean, when I left teaching and set up my consultancy, I sort of had to network like the roads out of all the areas around. And a lot of people said, oh, head teacher, how could you help us? And I think they didn't sort of really understand how varied skilled you have to be as a head teacher, because yes, you are responsible for the learning experience and the family building and community. But as an executive head teacher with a really big school on 3 sites, the premises management, the contract tendering, all of those things that you're doing to keep that sort of organization afloat are huge. So for me, it is about the time that is wasted when people don't speak up, when people don't feel happy and valued in their organization, when there are toxic issues in the culture. It just hugely impacts on productivity, on people's well-being, on their presenteeism. And all the sort of latest trends on quiet quitting and people not wanting to come back to COVID. Those are things that I believe. I really do believe an eye for an eye mentality makes everybody blind. I really do believe that actually you can talk about things, and if you nip them in the bud early enough and have honest conversations and are supported in how to speak to each other in a non-confrontational, accusational way. And if leaders are supported to really listen to your staff and have conversations, not just ask and then don't do anything, it has a huge impact. I mean, all the research shows that it does. And I'm sometimes like aghast at what you're not doing surveys, you're not listening to your staff, you're not seeing retention as a much better way of having great staff than recruitment. So I am genuinely like, oh, so that does get me out of the bed. And then naturally, when I left teaching and started up my own business, I didn't, which may surprise some people, think I'm going to work with young people. Because I worked a lot with adults when I was a head teacher with other schools and in my own school. So I just thought about working with people. But naturally, I have started to super focus on young people getting ready for the workplace and actually thriving in the workplace. So that's become quite a major part of my bread and butter now, and time spent and passion.
That's amazing. And we'll focus more on some of that sort of future leadership and supporting those young people in navigating into what is quite a complex world of work. But you're throwing down some real challenges to people, professionals, HR professionals, others around listening. And eye for eye makes everyone blind. I love that, that removal of retribution, that listening to and engaging and recognizing that retention is more effective than talent. That's the new thing. What do you think is the old thinking? If the new thing, if that's what do you see as being the old way of working, and how do you think organizations can shift from the old to the new, NOO, the new way of working?
Sure, absolutely. The new way of saying new. Yeah, that's exactly right, David. You're on it. You have got a big tick on your essay.
Why, thank you very much, Nicole.
You're welcome.
I didn't get used to get many big ticks when I was at school, so I'll take that one.
Oh, you've got them now. And I've still got my little head teacher stamps as well and stickers, so I can issue those too. Well, absolutely. It's a really great question to ask, what is the old and what is the new? I think there were always some really great people around, and I had great leaders. I really had great leaders, as I came through my sort of profession. And I also had people who I thought, that's not bringing out the best in people. What's going on there? So I thought, if you were going to say, okay, what are the least good examples and the better examples? Yeah. So I have a lot of people saying to me, oh yeah, engagement audits, we have those. And I'll say, oh, tell me about, that sort of energy loss I've just felt there. Oh, well, you get asked all these questions and then nothing happens. So even if people are acting on those, they're not effectively letting their staff know what they listen to and what they're doing. And I find myself quite a lot of times when I'm supporting employers and they're saying, but we can't do this. I find myself asking a question over and over again. What have your staff said? Have you used them as part of the solution rather than the problem? And that's a question I have to ask quite a lot. Have you shown what you've done? Have you asked? Have you? And if you think about it, if you don't have great support and you haven't had great investment in your own leadership skills, then sometimes you can be a little bit worried about asking those questions because it may reflect on you. And you have to think, oh gosh, I remember one organization I was working with, and this was a big housing association, and we did a visioning activity, and they were all sort of scoring in their own little way where they felt they were on things. So we could come out with a group sort of score and then discuss that without anybody feeling it was down to them personally. And one person there said, well, if we start supporting people on their career and what they want to do, aren't we helping them to leave?
Yeah.
And I said, well, yes, maybe, but actually you'll find you're better helping them to stay. And that group of people were quite worried about asking questions because they felt it would create an openness that people would say, okay, we're going to tell you we're going. And there was a lot of work to do there for them personally as leaders, but also to say, let's look at this culture. Let's look at the reality. Are people leaving now? Yes. Well, even if nothing changed, what would happen is that you would know they were going. So you could succession plan and you could involve them in the recruitment of new people. And it would be a much nicer place to work and less toxic. But sometimes things are so ingrained that you're afraid to ask because you don't want to hear the answer.